How I confronted my spouse when I found out about his affair. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. His phone buzzed at 2:03 a.m., a mosquito in the dark. He'd fallen asleep on the couch, finishing emails, screen face down like always. I wasn't snooping. I was trying to cover him with a blanket when the screen lit and the name flashed. Evan from roofing. Except Evan wrote, "Same suite, same time. Missed your mouth on my shoulder." My hand didn't shake at first. I just stood there, hearing the refrigerator hum and the radiator click like a metronome for the worst song. I blinked, hoping I misread it, like you do when your brain refuses to process a car crash. Another message arrived. "Bring that cologne. The one that smells like cedar and promises." The blanket slid off my arm. I tapped the thread with a calm I didn't own. Weeks of messages bloomed. Private jokes, hotel room numbers, pictures taken at angles I'd once thought were ours. A lock screen photo I'd never seen. His wrist against a stranger's throat, the cheap motel art blurred behind them like a tired witness. I told myself stories as I scrolled. It's spam. It's a prank. It's a coworker. It's a misunderstanding so big we'll laugh about it later. But my body knew. My body remembered the late showers, the new cologne, the face-down phone, the sudden gym habit, the work drinks that tasted like lies when he kissed me goodnight. He stirred on the couch, mumbling my name like a password he'd forgotten. I slipped into the kitchen, flipped on the hood light, and opened the bank app. Boutique charges. Ride shares to the same downtown block. A double charge at a hotel with a name that tried too hard. I wrote down every time, every total, like I could turn heartbreak into a spreadsheet and balance it. In a week, I would face him under two bright restaurant lights with printouts that smelled like toner and smoke. I didn't know the exact words yet, only that I would no longer speak in questions. I would hold the evidence steady while his face tried on expressions like borrowed coats, confusion, offense, rage. Behind me, his phone buzzed again on the couch cushion, a moth to the flame of the truth I could no longer unsee. I walked back, every step a drumbeat, picked it up, and watched the screen bloom. The next buzz wasn't his, it was hers, calling him back. I let it ring into voicemail because panic needed a script. In the bathroom, door cracked just enough to see his sock heel hanging off the couch. I hit play. Her voice was low and playful, all velvet edges. "You fell asleep on me," she teased. "Same suite as last time. Don't ghost." The number matched, Evan from roofing. My brain stuttered. Evan wasn't a man. Evan was camouflage. I replayed it twice, then 3 times, until the consonants felt like pebbles in my mouth. Roofing. Right. The roof we never fixed. The estimate he said he'd get, but Evan never sent. The careful plant of a story I never watered, because trust makes you lazy about weeds. I took photos of his screen, the thread, the hotel address, the saved contact. I forwarded the voicemail to my email, the one he never remembers exists. Evidence is a language abusers pretend not to speak. I was becoming fluent overnight. I wiped the call back from recent and put the phone exactly where it had been, face down, the lie's favorite yoga pose. At 6:40 a.m., he woke with soft groans, the kind he used when he wanted sympathy before he wanted anything else. "Bad dreams," he said, rubbing his neck. "You were there. We were on a roof, actually. Funny." He smiled, small, testing. "I'm meeting a contractor today, finally." "Roofing?" I asked, steady as a held breath. "Yeah, Evan. Nice guy." He kissed my hair and went to shower, leaving a streak of cedar and something unfamiliar, sweet, like candied apology. When the water started, I opened his laptop. Same Apple ID, same passwords he'd mocked me for forgetting. The browser blossomed with tabs, a jewelry site, hotel rewards, a spreadsheet titled Travel, Q2. Tuesdays circled. Tuesdays, when I did late Pilates. Enablers aren't always people. Sometimes they're schedules that clap politely for your destruction. I called the hotel. "Invoice copy for Mr. Hartwell?" I asked, using his formal name, the one he trotted out for bankers and waiters. They couldn't share details, but I heard the pause when I said the room number. Recognition is a confession without words. When he left, whistling off key, I sat with his phone. I typed one text into Evan, erased it, then typed another. Switching phones. Send the address again? My thumb hovered, trembling. I pressed send. 3 dots appeared, Vanished, returned. Her reply landed like a stamp on wet paper. 7 o'clock, same suite, don't be late. I booked the room. The message sat on his screen like a loaded weapon. My pulse thudded so loudly I thought it might wake the neighbors. 7 o'clock, same suite. Every syllable was a nail hammered into the coffin of the life I thought I had. I screenshotted it, emailed it to myself again, then stared at the glowing numbers until they burned into the back of my eyelids. Suite 314. A number I would never forget now, the exact coordinates of betrayal. The day blurred. I pretended to answer work emails, but every notification was just a phantom echo of her voice on voicemail. He called at noon, casual as weather. Hey, I might be late tonight. Client dinner. Sure, I whispered, pressing the phone hard against my ear so he wouldn't hear how my throat shook. Love you, he added, and for the first time in our marriage, the words made my stomach turn. By late afternoon, I'd rehearsed a dozen scenarios in my head. Walk into the suite like a storm, hide in the corner, and wait for them to undress before I reveal myself. Or knock gently, polite as a neighbor, while rage bleeds through the cracks. My best friend Clara's number burned in my contacts list. I wanted to call her, spill it all, let someone else hold this weight. But Clara adored him. He was the godfather to her son, the man who fixed her sink when her ex skipped out. If she knew, if she doubted me even for a second, I'd feel more alone than I already did. At 6:45, I parked across from the hotel. The neon sign buzzed, indifferent to my shaking hands on the steering wheel. People streamed in and out, carrying luggage, laughing, living normal lives while mine prepared to split in half. I walked through the lobby, perfume and aftershave mixing into a chemical fog. The clerk barely glanced at me. I took the elevator, floor 3, each ding a countdown to detonation. My reflection in the mirrored doors looked like someone else's wife. Eyes rimmed red, jaw locked, fists curling around invisible truths. The carpet muffled my steps until I stood in front of 314. Laughter leaked through the door. Her laugh, low and careless, followed by the clink of glasses. My husband's voice, deeper, warm, wrapping around hers like it used to wrap around me. I reached for the handle, my chest ready to split open. I didn't knock. I didn't breathe. I just pressed down. The door clicked, unlocked. And then I heard my name on his lips, spoken like a prayer he thought I'd never hear again. The handle gave way with a soft click, and the door cracked open just enough for their laughter to spill into the hallway. My knees almost buckled. I didn't swing it wide like in the movies. I froze, hovering in the doorway, the scene inside unraveling in fragments. A wine bottle tilted in his hand, half drained, perched on the cheap nightstand. Her legs, bare and crossed, dangled off the edge of the bed. He leaned toward her, saying my name like a ghost story told to make her laugh harder. She laughed, not a mocking cackle, but an easy, intimate laugh, the kind that comes from someone who knows your secrets. My breath hitched, and the hinge squeaked. His head snapped toward me, eyes widening as if the floor had cracked open beneath him. The glass slipped from his hand, shattering across the carpet. "WH, what are you?" His voice strangled itself. She turned, a stranger's face sharpened by the soft lamplight. She wasn't extraordinary, pretty, yes, but not breathtaking. What was breathtaking was the familiarity between them, the way her hand brushed his knee like it belonged there. I stepped inside, holding my phone like a blade. 7 o'clock, same suite. That's what you texted her, right? My voice shook, but the words sliced clean. He stumbled off the bed, hands raised as if I'd pointed a gun. "It's not. Listen, it's not what you think." "Don't," I snapped. "Don't insult me with that cliché." I shoved the phone screen at him, the glowing evidence of his double life. "This is you. This is her. And this is us, ending right now." The woman's eyes narrowed. She didn't look guilty. If anything, she looked annoyed. "You said your wife was clueless," she muttered, grabbing her purse like I was the inconvenience. "Get out," I said, my voice dropping into something low and dangerous I didn't know I had. She smirked, brushed past me, and left the scent of cheap perfume in her wake. For a second, it was just us. Him and me. The battlefield cleared. His face crumpled into a mask of desperation, his words tumbling over each other. "Please, I can explain. I made a mistake. It didn't mean." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Didn't mean what?" "Didn't mean you spent our money on hotel rooms and jewelry. Didn't mean you lied, every time you kissed me goodnight?" He reached for me. I stepped back. My heel crunched on the broken glass, a sound that felt final. "I'm not going to beg," I whispered, though my heart thrashed in my chest. "Not for you. Not anymore." His mouth opened, but before he could speak, my phone buzzed in my hand. I glanced down, expecting Clara, or maybe my mother, but it wasn't either of them. It was a text from the same number. "Don't believe him. Call me. You need to know everything." The text burned against my screen like it was written in fire. "Don't believe him. Call me. You need to know everything." My fingers went cold. I looked up at him, still standing there with shards of glass at his feet, mouth half open like a fish gasping for water. He hadn't seen the message yet, but his eyes followed mine, darting to the phone. "Who is that?" I asked, voice flat. He blinked too slowly. "Probably her. Ignore it. She's just trying to mess with you." "Mess with me?" I whispered. "By warning me about you?" I turned the screen toward him. He flinched as if I'd struck him. That was all the confirmation I needed. "I can explain," he tried again, moving closer. His words tripped over themselves, rehearsed but breaking apart. "She's obsessed. She's unstable. She'll say anything to ruin me. To ruin us." "Us." The word landed like a slap. There was no us. Not anymore. I backed toward the door, phone still clutched like a weapon. "Then you won't mind if I find out for myself." "Don't you dare call her," he snapped, his voice cracking into something raw, almost threatening. It was the first honest thing he'd said all night. That was the moment the fear mixed with fury. I slipped out into the hall before he could stop me, the door slamming behind me, his muffled curse leaking through the wood. My hands trembled as I hit dial. 1 ring. 2. Then, her voice. "You don't know me," she said quickly, almost breathless. "But you need to hear this. He's not who you think he is." My throat tightened. "I just saw you. In the suite. With him. What else is there to know?" Silence hummed, then a sharp exhale. That wasn't the first time. It's been almost a year. And I wasn't the only one. Her words sliced deeper than any knife. Not the only one. Not even special in my own husband's betrayal. My mind reeled, cataloging every unexplained receipt, every late meeting, every shift in his cologne. I pressed my back against the wallpapered hallway, sliding down until I was sitting on the floor. People walked past, giving me sidelong glances, but I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. "What do you mean?" I managed, my voice barely audible. She sighed, her tone shifting from sharp to almost pitying. "Check his second phone. The one he hides in the garage." My blood froze, because I already knew exactly where it was. Her words kept ricocheting inside my skull. "Second phone, garage." My pulse throbbed in my ears as I muttered something. "Thank you. Maybe, or nothing at all," and hung up. I don't even remember walking out of the hotel, just the cool night air slapping my face, the world spinning like it wanted to throw me off. The drive home blurred. Streetlights smeared across the windshield while my mind replayed her voice. Not the only one. That phrase was a poison that wouldn't dilute no matter how hard I swallowed. When I pulled into the driveway, his car wasn't there yet. I had a window, short but enough. I ran into the garage, flicked on the harsh fluorescent light, and scanned the shelves. Paint cans, old boxes, his tool chest. My fingers traced over the familiar clutter until I froze at the corner of the workbench. There it was. A dusty black box tucked behind a coil of extension cords. My hands shook as I pried it open. A burner phone, screen cracked, but when I pressed the button, it lit up. And it sang. Not literally, but notification after notification spilled across the screen, unread texts flooding in like water through a crack in a dam. Different names, different women. Some I recognized from his stories, co-workers or clients. Others were complete strangers. Each thread was a stab wound. Photos, addresses, nights I'd been paranoid. My knees buckled, and I sat right there on the cold concrete floor, scrolling through his other life. He wasn't just cheating. He was collecting lovers like trophies, stringing along lies so carefully woven I almost admired the craftsmanship, if it hadn't been my marriage bleeding underneath. The worst was the calendar app. Tuesdays circled, Thursdays starred. Notes, dinner S. Hotel R. Cash only. He had organized betrayal the way I organized grocery lists. Headlights flashed across the garage window. Tires crunched on gravel. He was home. I shoved the phone into my sweater pocket, slammed the box shut, and killed the light. My chest rose and felt like I'd just sprinted a marathon. I darted into the kitchen, forcing my face into something that might pass as neutral. The door opened. He stepped inside, jacket slung over his arm, eyes scanning me too carefully. "You left fast," he said, trying for casual but missing. I gripped the counter behind me, knuckles white. The phone in my pocket buzzed again, another message coming through. His head snapped at the sound. And in that second, I realized. He knew exactly which phone had just betrayed him. The vibration in my pocket was subtle, but his eyes locked onto it like a predator scenting blood. He froze in the doorway, keys dangling uselessly from his fingers. For a moment, the air between us thickened, heavy with the weight of everything neither of us dared to say. "That wasn't your phone," he muttered, his voice low, almost animal. His jacket slipped from his arm onto the floor. I forced myself to straighten, my pulse hammering in my throat. "Wasn't it?" I asked, feigning confusion. My hand slid casually across the counter, masking the trembling in my body. He took a step closer, then another, eyes narrowing. "Give it to me." I laughed, sharp, brittle, but it filled the silence. "You mean the one in the garage? The one with dozens of women saved under fake names? Or should I be specific? Suite 314, candied perfume, jewelry charges, Tuesdays and Thursdays booked like business meetings?" His face drained of color. The mask slipped, but only for a second. Then he tried to smirk, the same charm he'd used 1,000 times to defuse fights about being late or forgetting anniversaries. "You're overreacting. That's not even." I slammed my fist onto the counter, the sound ricocheting through the kitchen. "Don't you dare gaslight me. Not this time. I have every text, every voicemail, every receipt." For the first time, real panic flickered in his eyes. His gaze darted toward my pocket. "You don't understand. If you read those messages, you don't know what you're getting into." "What does that mean?" I shot back, my voice rising. "That it's bigger than me? That it's not just you sneaking around hotels like a teenager? Tell me, what am I missing?" He pressed his lips together, jaw tightening. Then he whispered, "You're not supposed to see that phone. It's not just affairs." My skin went cold. Then what the hell is it? The burner phone buzzed again in my pocket. Louder this time. Persistent. My hand twitched, itching to pull it out, but his eyes followed the movement like a hawk. He lunged forward, fast enough that I stumbled back against the counter. His hand shot out, but I shoved him hard in the chest, adrenaline giving me strength I didn't know I had. The phone slipped from my pocket, clattering to the tile floor between us. Its cracked screen lit up in the dim kitchen. A new message glowed in bold letters. "She knows. End it tonight." The words on the screen carved ice into my spine. "She knows. End it tonight." For a moment, neither of us moved. The only sound was the faint buzz of the refrigerator, the house holding its breath with me. He bent down slowly, like a man approaching a live wire. I kicked the phone back with my foot, hard enough that it skittered under the table. His head jerked up, eyes blazing. "What the hell does that mean?" I demanded, my voice cracking from the pressure in my chest. "Who sent that? Who's we?" He straightened, breathing hard, jaw flexing like he was holding back a scream. "You shouldn't have seen that," he muttered, and it wasn't guilt in his voice, it was fear. My stomach twisted. Fear wasn't what I expected. Excuses, gaslighting, begging maybe. But fear? That was worse. "Answer me." I snapped, grabbing the phone from under the table before he could. My hands shook, but I unlocked it again. More texts poured in, unknown numbers, coded phrases. "Cash a drop by Thursday. She's suspicious. Handle it. No more mistakes." This wasn't an affair. It was something else. Something darker. "Are you?" I swallowed hard, while rising in my throat. "Are you in trouble? Or did you make the trouble?" He rubbed his face, dragging his palms down like he wanted to peel himself out of his own skin. "You don't get it. You were never supposed to see this side of things. That phone, it's not just women. It's business." Business. I spat the word out like poison. "Lying to me. Sleeping with strangers. Spending our money. That's business." He stepped closer, lowering his voice like we were co-conspirators instead of enemies. "You think it's just cheating? It started that way. But then, I owed people. Powerful people. You don't just walk away from them." The kitchen spun. My hands gripped the phone so tight my knuckles ached. "So what? You drag me down with you? You risk our lives because you can't keep it in your pants?" His eyes darted to the dark window above the sink. He whispered, You don't understand. They're probably watching us right now. The phone buzzed again in my hand. One new message, short and final. Clock's ticking. Handle her. The words glared up at me. Clock's ticking. Handle her. My grip on the phone tightened until my nails bit into my palm. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips, a frantic drumbeat telling me to run, scream, something. He reached for me again, slower this time, as though afraid I might shatter. His voice dropped into a tone I'd never heard before. Calm, steady, practiced. Listen to me. Put the phone down. Please. I backed away, my heel bumping against the cabinet. Handle me? That's what they told you to do? What does that mean, James? My voice cracked on his name. Because to me it sounds like I'm not supposed to make it out of tonight. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. It's not like that. They're just trying to scare me into action. They think you'll go to the cops, that you'll ruin everything. If you give me the phone, I can fix this. Fix? I laughed, but it came out hollow, unhinged. You can't even fix a leaky faucet, and now you're going to fix this? James, you've destroyed everything. His mask cracked then. Rage, hot and naked, flashed across his face. You think you're better than me? Sitting on your high horse while I've been breaking my back to give us a life? You don't know what kind of men I've been dealing with. You don't know what they'll do to you if you keep pushing. My legs trembled, but anger rooted me to the floor. Then tell me who they are. Tell me why they think you need to handle me. For a second, his eyes softened, almost pleading. But then headlights swept across the window, cutting through the tension like a blade. A car had pulled up outside. He went pale. They're here. I froze, clutching the burner phone like it might shield me. Who's here? James swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing like it might choke him. The ones I owe. If they see you with that phone, he didn't finish. A car door slammed shut. Then another. Heavy footsteps crunched on the gravel, moving closer. James grabbed my wrist, his grip bruising. You have to hide. Now. But the knock on the front door came too soon. 3 sharp raps that rattled through my bones. And a voice followed, low and commanding. Open up, James. We need to talk. Now. The knock still reverberated through the walls when James tightened his grip on my wrist. His skin was clammy, his eyes wide and frantic. Don't say a word, he hissed. Not one word. Go upstairs now. My heart thrashed so loudly I was sure the men outside could hear it. I'm not leaving you with them, I whispered, though my knees wanted to buckle. Another knock, louder this time, impatient. James. The voice barked, rough like gravel dragged across concrete. We know you're in there. Don't make this worse. James dragged me toward the stairs, shoving me into the shadow of the hallway. Please. If they see you, if they even suspect you've touched that phone, his eyes flicked to my pocket. They'll make you disappear. The word disappear hollowed me out. But before I could argue, the doorknob rattled, and James cursed under his breath. He strode back to the door, plastering on a half-hearted calm, and pulled it open. 2 men filled the doorway. Both wore black jackets, the kind that weren't uniforms but carried the same weight. One was tall, broad-shouldered, with a scar carving through his eyebrow. The other was leaner, eyes sharp, scanning every inch of the room. You're late, Scar muttered, pushing past James without waiting for an invitation. The smaller one followed, shutting the door behind them with a click that sounded too final. James tried to smile, but it faltered. Traffic. Save it. The lean one cut in, his gaze darting to the empty wine glass on the counter, then to the shards of broken glass near the table. His lip curled. You've been sloppy. My pulse thundered as I pressed myself into the wall, just far enough in the shadows. Every instinct screamed to run upstairs, but my legs wouldn't move. Scar leaned closer to James, his voice dropping. You had one job, keep her quiet. Instead, I hear she's sniffing around, reading things that aren't hers. My breath caught in my throat. James stiffened, his shoulders rigid. I've got it under control. Do you? The lean one asked. His hand slipped into his jacket pocket, pulling out a burner phone identical to the one in mine. He waved it mockingly. Because from where I'm standing, she's already a problem. James' eyes flickered toward the hallway, toward me. The lean man caught it, his head snapping in my direction like a wolf catching scent. Scar smirked. Well, looks like we've got company after all. He took one step toward the darkened hallway where I stood, his shadow stretching across the floor. Why don't you come out, he said, his voice smooth but venomous. so we can all have an honest little chat. His shadow reached me before his hand did. I wanted to melt into the wall, to vanish into the plaster, but my body betrayed me. My foot scraped the floor, the smallest sound, and suddenly both men's eyes snapped to the hallway. There she is, Scar muttered, almost amused. The wife. James stepped between us like a shield. She doesn't know anything. Leave her out of this. The lean one tilted his head, smiling without warmth. Funny, that's not what the text suggests. Someone's been reading. His gaze dropped to my pocket. The phone buzzed again, as if on cue, sealing my fate. Scar's boots thudded closer, heavy, deliberate. Bring it out, he ordered. No games. I swallowed hard, fingers trembling around the burner phone. James shot me a look, pleading, desperate. Don't fight them. But my fury burned hotter than my fear. I stepped into the living room light, every nerve screaming, and held the phone out just beyond their reach. This is what you want. Because I've already sent the files to someone who'll know exactly what to do with them if anything happens to me. It was a lie, but the kind that tasted like survival. The lean man's smirk faltered. Scar's jaw twitched. James closed his eyes like he couldn't believe I'd just thrown gasoline onto the fire. You're bluffing, Scar growled, but his voice wasn't as steady as before. Try me, I said, surprising myself with how steady mine was. Go ahead, lay one finger on me. Then you'll find out how fast this blows up in your faces. The lean one studied me, sharp eyes narrowing, calculating. She's got guts, he muttered to Scar. Maybe too much. Scar reached out suddenly, snatching for the phone. I jerked back, clutching it to my chest. James shouted, "Stop," and shoved himself between us again. The room exploded into motion, Scar's hand clamping down on James' shoulder, the lean one circling like a wolf, my own heartbeat hammering so loud I could barely hear. Then Scar leaned down, his voice a whisper that carried like a gunshot. You've got 48 hours, James. Either you deliver what you owe, or we stop being polite. He straightened, gave me one last venomous look, and motioned to his partner. They turned and left as quickly as they came, the door slamming so hard the windows rattled. The silence afterward was unbearable. James sagged against the counter, face ashen. I stood frozen, the phone still pressed to my chest. My breath came in ragged bursts, but one thought cut through the noise. If I had 48 hours, I was going to use every single one of them to uncover everything he was hiding. And this time, I wasn't going to do it alone. The door's echo was still trembling through the walls when I finally exhaled. My knees shook so badly I had to grip the counter just to stay upright. James dragged his hands down his face, muttering curses like prayers to a god that had already abandoned him. 48 hours, I said flatly, repeating the threat aloud because silence made it worse. What do you owe them, James? Money? Drugs? What? He shook his head, pacing the kitchen like a trapped animal. You wouldn't understand. Try me. My voice cracked, but the steel underneath surprised even me. Because if you don't tell me, I'll find out myself. And then I won't just leave you. I'll bury you. He stopped, finally looking at me. His eyes, usually so quick to soften into fake remorse, were hollow. It started as money, he admitted, his voice barely audible. Gambling debts. Then I couldn't pay. They offered work. Deliveries. No questions asked. My stomach clenched. And the women? Were they part of the debt too? His silence was answer enough. I turned away before the sight of him could make me collapse. My reflection in the dark window looked like a stranger, wild-eyed, pale, but unbroken. I pulled out my own phone. My phone, not the cursed burner, and opened Clara's contact. For the first time in this nightmare, I didn't care if someone else knew. I hesitated, thumb hovering. Then I typed, "Emergency. I need you." Almost instantly, the dots appeared. "I'll be there in 10. James noticed. "No," he said sharply, striding toward me. "Don't drag anyone else into this." I held up a hand. "You lost the right to tell me what to do the second you decided my life was disposable." His jaw clenched, but he didn't move. The house felt like it was shrinking around us, the shadows too heavy, the silence too loud. Every tick of the clock was a countdown. Headlights swept across the window again, and for a moment I froze, heart seizing. But this time it wasn't them. It was Clara, her beat-up hatchback pulling into the driveway. James hissed, "You don't know what you've done." But I ignored him. I opened the door before Clara even knocked. Her eyes widened at the sight of me, tear-streaked, trembling, clutching a phone like it was a weapon. "What the hell happened?" she whispered, stepping inside. I closed the door, the weight of the next 2 days pressing down on me like a storm cloud. "Everything," I said, voice breaking. "And if I don't figure this out in 48 hours, I don't think I'll survive it." Behind us, the burner phone buzzed again. This time, the message wasn't from an unknown number. It was from Clara's husband. The name glowing on the cracked burner screen turned my blood to ice. Daniel, Clara's husband. I blinked, certain exhaustion was twisting my vision. But no, the letters were there, undeniable. The message read, "Don't stall. She can't protect you forever." I looked up at Clara, her worried eyes scanning my face. She hadn't noticed the phone yet. My mouth went dry. "Clara," I whispered, "has Daniel ever mentioned James?" She frowned. "What? No. I mean, they've maybe talked at barbecues." "Why?" The phone buzzed again, louder in the suffocating silence. Another message. 48 hours means 48. Deliver, or she disappears. Clara's eyes darted to the glow. She snatched the phone before I could react. When she saw the name, her face drained of color. "What the hell is this?" she breathed. James stepped forward quickly, panic slicing through his mask. "Give it back," he barked. But Clara clutched the phone tighter, fury blazing in her eyes. "Daniel is in this with you?" James dragged a hand through his hair. "It's not what you think. Stop saying that." I snapped, my voice shaking the kitchen walls. "It's exactly what we think. He's part of it. And now they know I know." Clara swayed like the floor had tilted under her. "No, Daniel wouldn't." She broke off, shaking her head violently. But her trembling hands betrayed her denial. James reached again, but Clara recoiled, clutching the phone to her chest. "How long?" she demanded. "How long has my husband been tied up in this?" "Months," James admitted, his voice low, broken. "He introduced me. Said it was easy money. Said nobody got hurt." His eyes flicked toward me. "But then she found out." Clara's breath hitched, ragged. "He brought you into this. And you dragged her into it?" She jabbed a finger toward me, her whole body trembling. The phone buzzed a third time. Another message appeared, cruel in its simplicity. "You have until midnight tomorrow. Or she pays." I didn't know if she meant me or Clara. And in that moment, I realized it might not matter. Because now, both of us were targets. Clara's hands shook so badly, she nearly dropped the phone. Her lips trembled around words that refused to form. I could see the denial still fighting in her eyes, but the evidence glowed in her palm, undeniable and cruel. James hovered between us, frantic. "We can fix this. Both of you just stop digging. Give me the phone. I'll figure something out." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Figure it out? James, you've been lying, gambling, sleeping around, and now smuggling God knows what. And your grand plan is for us to stay quiet?" Clara finally spoke, her voice ragged. "If Daniel's in this, if he's tied to these men, then my son." She cut herself off, pressing her fist against her mouth like she could shove the thought back inside. I reached for her hand, steadying it. "We're not going to let them touch you or him. Do you hear me? We've got 48 hours, and that's enough to blow this open before they bury us in it." James slammed his fist against the counter. "You'll get yourselves killed. These aren't people you can outsmart with screenshots and threats. They'll watch you, follow you, erase you." His panic only hardened my resolve. Then we stopped pretending we're their victims. We turned the game back on them. Clara's wide, terrified eyes found mine. "How?" I leaned closer, lowering my voice until it was a knife whisper. "We collect everything. Every text, every receipt, every transaction. We don't go to the police yet. That'll tip them off. But we need leverage. Proof. Enough that if anything happens to us, it all spills out." Clara nodded slowly, gripping the phone like a lifeline. The fear in her face sharpened into something else, rage. "If Daniel dragged me and my son into this, I'll bury him myself." James groaned, raking his hands through his hair. "You're going to ruin us all." "No," I said, my voice steady now. "You ruined us. I'm done letting you write the ending." The room fell into tense silence, broken only by the burner buzzing again. Clara and I both looked down at the screen. This time, the message wasn't from Daniel. It was from an unknown number, different from the others. The words were chillingly precise. "We see you. TikTok. Midnight means midnight." I went cold. realizing the lights across the street, ones I'd always assumed were from an empty house, were still on. Too bright. Too steady. Someone was watching us. Already. The curtains whispered in a draft I hadn't noticed until now, but I knew better. It wasn't the wind. Across the street, that window glowed like an unblinking eye. My stomach twisted. They weren't threatening to watch us. They already were. Clara's breath came sharp and shallow beside me. They're in that house. James shook his head violently, though his voice cracked. No, no, that place has been empty for months. It's just a bluff. But then the burner buzzed again. Wave if you don't believe us. I froze, pulse hammering. Slowly, almost against my will, I stepped toward the front window. Clara grabbed my arm, whispering, "Don't." But something in me, anger, defiance, survival, pushed my hand higher. I lifted it, palm trembling, and waved once. Across the street, the living room light flickered twice. On. Off. On again. Clara gasped. James staggered back as if struck. My chest clenched with the sick, electric realization. They controlled the board, and we were already pieces. I turned, my voice steadier than my shaking bones. We don't wait for midnight. We move now. Move where? Clara demanded, panic in her eyes. Somewhere they don't expect. And before we go, we copy everything off this phone. Every name, every deal, every text. If we vanish, that evidence has to survive. James dropped into a chair, head in his hands. You'll get us all killed. You don't understand. They don't bluff. They don't forgive. No, I said, leaning toward him, my voice low and dangerous. What I understand is that if I stay quiet, if I play obedient little wife, I'm already dead. Midnight isn't a deadline. It's a warning. Clara's trembling eased, replaced by a sharp, focused fury. She nodded. Then we make sure they regret ever underestimating us. The phone buzzed again, this time with a single word. Run. Outside, the crunch of tires rolled over gravel. Headlights flared across the window, blinding in their brightness. A car door slammed, then another. Midnight had come early, and we were out of time.